Hi everybody, this is Dr. Shea with Align Life Chiropractic and Wellness. Today we're going to be delivering video number 2 of a 6-part video series all about chronic lifestyle diseases. This is called the 5 Pillars of Chronic Disease. And the motivation behind this, guys, is the idea that chronic lifestyle diseases are massively impacting our population, not only in respect to our health and our longevity and our quality of life, but it is also one of the most expensive things that we spend our money on. Did you know that the number one reason why someone goes bankrupt in the United States of America is because of a chronic lifestyle disease, and they have healthcare costs that have accumulated because of that disease? So in order to avoid this and to send you in the right direction in response to your overall health, I want to make sure that you guys understand this concept. So the first pillar of chronic lifestyle disease is called insulin resistance. Insulin resistance. So that means the hormone insulin, which is secreted by the pancreas, it goes out and collects up excess nutrients and stores them. Especially, we often talk about the concept of sugar in this environment. When we eat a lot of sugar, the body goes out, collects the sugar by using insulin, and then stores it in our muscle for quick energy, and in the liver and in the form of fat. Okay, so once we've done this, the body is satiated, we're good for a period of time, and from a long-term sort of Paleolithic perspective, if we look back 1,000 years, the ability to store excess nutrients and use them over time, especially during time periods when we couldn't always count on food, this was absolutely essential in our ability to survive. Now, the problem now is that we are not underfed, but in most cases now, we are overfed. And unfortunately, the body does not have a good defense against long-term overfeeding. So what this leads to is this chronic use of insulin over a period of time. And again, we've talked about in the beginning of this, the body can tolerate short-term stress, but when it comes to long-term stress, eventually we're going to become symptomatic and we're going to end up with disease. So when it comes to insulin, we will end up with what's called type 2 diabetes. So keep in mind in this video, I'm really not talking about type 1. Type 1 would be a congenital concern where you're actually born not being able to produce insulin. And that doesn't really qualify for our discussion for today. That's a very different discussion. But type 2 diabetes means you actually have the ability to create insulin. And let's say your body is designed to have 100 years of insulin usage. But unfortunately, because of our modern diet that is so heavily laden with high fructose corn syrup, or just sugar in general. And these days, food scientists have come up with a million different ways to be able to put sugar into our foods and make it called something different, which makes it very confusing. We can end up using that 100 years of sugar in a very short period of time, maybe 15, 20, 30, or 40 years. And now the remaining aspect of our life, which if the average life expectancy is around 75 or 80 years, that means half our life we're going to actually be required to get insulin or something that's going to provide nutrient storage from some other means, which oftentimes we're going to be dependent upon medication in order to be able to do this. Now, keep in mind, guys, the long-term ramifications of type 2 diabetes, if it's unmanaged, is loss of limbs or loss of sight. I don't know about you guys, but to me, these seem like probably the worst types of challenges to face as an individual, especially if you're looking to do something significant in the world, like be a great parent, or lead your community, or be a great boss or employee, or do an amazing job of working with your nonprofit, or having great relationships. Losing your sight and losing a limb is going to make it really difficult for you to be effective in each of those things. You can definitely do them, and there are people who are absolutely amazing and can handle all of those things, but I just know in my heart that it would be much easier if you didn't have to face those challenges on top of everything else that gets in our way trying to be a good human being in the modern world. So if you're looking to try to avoid this type of issue and eliminate insulin resistance in your body, then there's a few things that I think would be really important to implement. Number one, understand that your body is designed to live about 100, 120 years. So you actually have the capacity, if you do a good job maintaining your insulin levels throughout time, you can eat sugar from time to time. It's okay from time to time to treat yourself and still be effective and not run out of insulin over time. We just can't overdo it. So we want to minimize our regular usage of sugar. And by doing so, it will allow our hormone levels to balance out. We call that, again, allostatic load. Allostatic load is the volume of stress hormones that we use on a regular basis in order to power our current life. So if your current life doesn't use a lot of stress hormones and doesn't force your body into adaptive physiology where the body has to react and over time lead to disease, then your body's going to tolerate this and be quite well off. So make sure that you understand what's in your food. Read the labels on the back of the food ingredients. Make sure you're not over consuming. I highly recommend, if you can get off entirely soda, please do not drink pop or soda. That stuff is laden with tons of sugar and it will lead down a really tough path in the long run. Make sure that we are reducing or eliminating our consumption of those other named sugars, right? So high fructose corn syrup is a great example, or many of the other ones that you'll see on the market, and give your body a chance to heal. If you've been a chronic sugar consumer like I was as a kid, I would have 4 to 5 Dr. Peppers a day over a period of time during college and even after college. And you could see it in the pictures that I took of my body at the time. My body was constantly fighting this response. And I think if I would have continued down that path, I would have ended up in a very bad place in the long term in regards to my health. So think about this. Start thinking about what's going into your diet. Start managing how much sugar is going into your body. If you need to track it, I recommend writing out what you're putting into your body. I think that's the best way to become aware of what's going into your body. And I look forward to talking to you guys about the second pillar of chronic disease on our next video. So I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great week.